we move from telecommunications connectivity to logistics connectivity. Please welcome Mr. Romesh David, the Chief Executive Officer of South Asia Gateway Terminal, who will address us on the theme of air-sea connectivity and the logistics roadmap of Sri Lanka.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to this session on air and sea connectivity and the logistics roadmap for Sri Lanka going forward. In the 20 minutes available, I will try and quickly take you through our current connectivity, both by air and sea, the current infrastructure available in terms of airports, seaports, the road networks and land availability, human resource availability, and the investment framework for logistics and transportation infrastructure. A quick look at the few global investors who are already in the industry here in Sri Lanka and have been for some time, and a snapshot of some of the opportunities available going forward. To start with, we'll take a look at Sri Lanka in terms of our connectivity by air. In a pre-COVID environment, we had 32 airlines serving about 120 destinations out of Colombo. We are extremely well connected. Colombo is well connected with two adjacent hubs, Dubai and Singapore. Most of the Gulf and Far Eastern carriers operate to Sri Lanka and offer a one-stop connection to almost every city in the world. We are by far the best connected country with India, with over 116 flights a week to 11 cities. And to underscore this connectivity, we have, in terms of if you look at a distance, 2 hours from Colombo will access more than 1.5 billion population, and a 5.5-hour journey will give us access to close to 3 billion people, or half the world's population. There are very few other hubs or potential hubs that have this kind of market access in terms of time. Sri Lanka has been and is likely to grow as a tourism hotspot, which will continue to expand capacity, which will be a driver of capacity in terms of both air and in terms of passenger and cargo. And we have, I think, a key facet here is that as a policy, Sri Lanka has for many decades now had a completely open skies policy for air cargo and in terms of freight operations. Moving on to sea, the map here is often used, but it underscores the fact that Sri Lanka is right astride the main east-west sea route. The density of shipping is extremely high, and we have upwards of 350 to 400 ships that pass by very close. We are again the only deep water port in terms of facilities in the entire deep water container port in the whole of the South Asian region, capable of handling the largest ships afloat. We are well connected. The connection is underscored by Drewry, who publish a quarterly report. Sri Lanka is ranked as the 15th best connected port in the world. We have over 80 mainline and feeder services calling at the port every week. And we have demonstrated an extremely robust growth in volume, which is driven by transshipment over the last 20 years. This volume has always been capacity-led, and the pipeline of capacity that I will talk about in a little while augurs well for that growth going forward. Going back quickly to physical infrastructure, in terms of airports, the country has 2 international airports, one in Colombo on the west coast and in the western province, and the other in Hambantota. Colombo is the primary airport. Hambantota at the moment is largely not operational. Colombo can handle 10 million passengers, has handled 10 million passengers, and about 250,000 tons of cargo up to a year in 2019. Current development plans include an expansion of the terminal facilities that will take the airport up to about 15 million passengers and the cargo handling capacity to 500,000 tons a year. Hambantota has an installed capacity of 1 million passengers a year and 50,000 tons of cargo, but as I said earlier, is presently not utilized fully. The country also, although small, has a fairly unique network of domestic airports, which are legacy of the Air Force operating airports around the country, with over 10 domestic airports and a fairly new phenomena because of the large number of water bodies, 10 plus water aerodromes, again scattered around the country, which augments the access internally. In terms of seaports, we have 4 international ports, 2 main ports, Colombo and Hambantota. 3 of these ports are deep water that can handle, again, very deep draft vessels. Colombo is mainly containerized and general cargo. Hambantota has general cargo, has the roll-on, roll-off cargo, liquid bulk, container cargo, and other general cargo. Trinco is one of the largest, deep natural harbors in the world and is optimally placed to handle general cargo and liquid bulk. Galle, which is the closest to the main sea route, is primarily general cargo at the moment, but has great potential as a leisure port. We also have an island-wide network of fisheries harbors, which are potentially useful for logistics development. Taking a closer look at the seaport infrastructure, the Port of Colombo in detail. It is the only port in the region, in the entire South Asian region, capable of handling ultra-large container ships. It presently has 3 container terminals with a combined capacity of about almost 8 million TEUs per annum. And one of the 3 terminals, which is operated by China Merchant Ports, is a deep draft terminal that can handle up to 3 million containers. There are 2 more deep draft terminals that are currently under development. The first, the East Container Terminal, which is being developed by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, which will have a capacity of 3 million again. And the second, which is the West Container Terminal, being developed by Adani Ports together with John Keel's Holdings in consortium with the Ports Authority, will be operational. Both of these are expected to commence operations over the next 30 months. If we take a closer look at the image at the bottom of your screen, we have the medium-term developments for Colombo, which over the next 15 years will take the capacity of Colombo by augmenting both the breakwater and the overall harbor with the development of a north port to a capacity of close to 24 million TEU per annum. Moving on to the port of Hambantota, it is this again sits right on the east-west sea route with a very short deviation for vessels. It has a great opportunity in terms of serving and providing services to close to 400 vessels that pass by daily. The port is owned and operated by China Merchant Ports, again on a long-term 99-year lease, concession. It currently has over 3 kilometers of wharf, covering berths that are multi-purpose, general purpose, bunkering and gas, and also feeder and container berths. It is the largest vehicle transshipment port in the South Asian region, handling a large number of vehicles transshipping out of India and the region, and also has the advantage of having substantial hinterland space, both inside and outside the port, which are all declared as free zones. It has a large-scale bunker and gas storage terminal, and in the future is also potentially positioned as an energy hub for this kind of storage. In terms of size, from where it is today, the port has the potential to triple at full completion. In terms of land and highways, if you again look at the map that depicts the current network of highways, which are about 270 kilometers in extent, there's another 200 kilometers under development at the moment. And this essentially brings much of the Western Province, the Southern Province, and the Central Province, which also covers most of the population centers and the areas available for free zones and export development within very close reach of Colombo, and particularly the airport and the seaport in Colombo. The port itself will have, the Port of Colombo and Colombo Airport will have literally door-to-door connectivity through a highway that is currently under construction and will be completed within the next 24 months. There's a total of 12 export processing zones, about 1,300 hectares in all, but the government is the largest landowner and has large tracts of land available for development. The organized warehouse stock in the country at the moment is around 3.5 million square feet, which is quite small for the scope that currently exists. In terms of the legal framework, we have a wide spectrum of laws and investment framework, from the BOI Act and the Strategic Development Projects Act for large-scale developments, infrastructure included, and you have very specific legislation aimed at promoting the transportation and logistics industry through the Hub Act. Which is a very specific and focused piece of legislation aimed at developing aspects of logistics related to Sri Lanka's unique geographical positioning. We have Sri Lanka, apart from having good political relationships with all countries in the region, also has preferential access through SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, and also bilateral FTAs with Pakistan, India, and Singapore that make Colombo a good center for value addition. The country also has double tax treaties with almost 50 countries, 44 countries around the world. In terms of the people, human resource, we have the highest adult literacy rate of almost 90% in the region. There is a system of free education that ensures a pipeline of up to 10,000 university graduates annually, and close to 250,000 advanced level students, secondary school students. A great opportunity that women are very much underrepresented in the workforce, with only about 34% compared to the male workforce, and balancing that represents a huge opportunity in terms of available resources. The country as a whole is expatriate friendly, caters, has good housing, has good schools, language is not an issue, and expatriates are welcome with investment. In terms of who's here at the moment, we've had companies like Maersk, the AP Moller Group, and Evergreen, who have been present here with substantial investment in infrastructure, in port container terminals for over 20 years. China Merchant Group, which is newer over the last 10 years, but still the single largest investor in the transportation and logistics space, with investments in Colombo as well as Hambantota. And we have coming up the Adani Group, again with an investment in Colombo in the West Container Terminal. Less participation on the freight forwarding and 3PL side, but we have Expo Lanka, which is a homegrown multinational of significant size and now representing a massive Japanese investment in Sri Lanka in the transport, in the logistics space. DHL have been present here, albeit with significant investment, but for many years and investing on the ground. Moving on, in terms of investment opportunity, if I can start with the logistics space, what Sri Lanka lacks at the moment is large-scale facilities to encourage plug-and-play logistics. So logistics parks, similar to what are available in the other hubs around us, like in Singapore and in Dubai. So not much, there's nothing to reinvent here. It is, but Sri Lanka has now the facilities, we have the infrastructure, and we need the will now to go ahead and do it. And the government is keen to look at public-private partnerships with the government's contribution, being the land, for this kind of development. There is Sri Lanka's container traffic is mainly transshipment, 80%, a little over 80%, but the 20% of domestic traffic does take up time and space on the roads. There is a plan to create off-dock facilities, inland container depots, which requires substantial investment, once again in partnership with the government. On the medium and small scale, certainly there is a great, we are, as container volumes will show, we are a globally established transshipment hub for containers. We have not established ourselves for content in terms of a cargo hub, and there is huge scope, given our connectivity both by air and sea, for value-added regional distribution centers, for a whole plethora of services that go hand in hand with that. On the domestic side, there is a dearth of good quality ambient and refrigerated warehousing for distribution centers. The key drivers for this are the very quick, the very fast penetration of organized retail, and also obviously a leisure in terms of hotels and the need for moving and accountability and traceability in cargo with other areas like pharma and perishables. Trucking, refrigerated trucking, there is a fairly a good network of ambient trucking, but refrigerated trucking and the cold chain is not, it represents a big opportunity, again in the same industries, as do software that are associated with this, using IoT technologies, using warehouse management and fleet management technologies that bring in traceability and trackability to products, particularly perishable goods. Regional head offices of global freight forwarders, I mean, Colombo is a great place for which a logistics ringmaster can sit. It is ideally located, it has all the facilities and has all the infrastructure for this kind of investment. On the maritime front, on the very large scale, there still remains opportunity for ship repair, given the proximity to the massive amount of traffic, ship traffic. There is opportunity for dockyards, for ship repair facilities, both in Trincomalee and Hambantota. We have, as the increasing number of marine disasters and incidents show, we are extremely well located for a regional salvage, rescue, pollution control service. There is opportunity to be set up here. We have brilliant access not only to the main sea route, but also to the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. Transshipment of liquid bulk, chemicals, petrochemicals are the same imperatives that apply to container traffic, applies to liquid bulk cargoes. The consumption, the production and consumption lend themselves, and the cargo flows lend themselves to transshipment from bigger to smaller ships and smaller tankers. And Colombo is well placed in order to set up facilities to cater to this. With the growing tourism potential, whilst the cruise industry itself may take a while to recover, the potential does exist given the huge middle class and potential cruise tourism custom in the region for creating a cruise terminal in Colombo. Likewise, again, Yacht Marina in Galle and Trincomalee have an opportunity, again, given the proximity to to the main sea route. The government is also looking at, these are quite imminent in terms of adding value-added, coming up for public-private partnership proposals for value-added port warehousing, high-end warehousing within the port. On the small and medium scale, not so small really, but crew change, the last 1.5 years has shown us that seafarers and their ability to get on and off ships has become a global issue. Again, we are well placed to make sure that to set up facilities here that cater exclusively to this and actually promote the setting up of a hub here for crew change. Many countries have been very reticent to do this in the context of COVID, but there is now an opportunity and a window of opportunity to start with that. E-commerce applications for port community systems, vehicle booking systems are near-term opportunities. And again, for global shipping lines and crewing companies, the regional head officers here, with the advent of Port City and all the development that is happening in there, and the regulations that come with it, having shipping domiciled here in Colombo becomes a real opportunity. Marine and ship spares, again, given the proximity, is a very, very good opportunity, and the space available in places like Hambantota, it becomes a good opportunity for large-scale marine and ship spare stores. On the aviation front, an MRO, whilst the aviation industry itself is going through a period of enormous change, and it is a little difficult to predict how exactly it might pan out. Again, locationally and in terms of the available infrastructure, we have the potential to create an MRO, maintenance repair organization, particularly in Hambantota and even in Colombo. Distribution from here there is a large density of aircraft in the region, and the facility and a proper facility here would have a lot of support. Somewhat esoteric, but also potential, particularly in the light of the fact that there are going to be a lot of surplus aircraft that will be decommissioned soon, is the aircraft equivalent of shipbreaking. It does have a kind of a virtuous cycle for an island economy like ours, where the main components are recovered for use and shipment around the region, and also things like the aircraft bodies are then used for creating reefs as base stock for rejuvenating coral reefs and recreating reefs that have been decimated due to climate change. A regional airline, the government has an open skies policy for cargo, so there is no barrier whatsoever for setting up a cargo airline, but and also regional airlines for passenger are things that the government is open to negotiation for. In terms of the medium scale, the same imperative for marine spares exists for aircraft spares in conjunction with an MRO, and a niche opportunity potentially for domestic airline. So that has been a quick overview of what the potential opportunities are. I hope this has been of some use, and thank you very much for your attention.